Welcome to another edition of Brandon's Face. My name is Brandon with the face.
And I'm Jonathan Beardsley.
Jonathan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fan-fucking-tastic, Brandon. How are you doing?
I fucking love that, man. I'm doing great. This is the podcast about a playlist where we discuss a lot of music that either just came out or that we want to talk about. We're going to be going through our Brandon's Face playlist for the part 2 of January 2022. This was a stacked month, so we split it in two here, and I'm excited to get into some of these releases.
Me too. Let's get into it, man.
Thanks, man. Cool. So I think the first one that you threw on there was Alan Raymond with Ryder.
You actually threw this on here.
I did because you made me follow Alan Raymond because, wow, this guy's music is fucking great. I saw him on my little notification bar on Spotify, and I think you told me that we have a new release upcoming from Alan Raymond, which is Roadhouse, 3? O2. And I listened to Roadhouse 01 after the news of the new incoming album, and fuck, man, this guy is great. This song is great. I'm fucking ready. Let's go.
Dude, the song is fantastic. I mean, the spoken word part at the end's a little weird out of context, but if you listen to a lot of Alan Raymond, you kind of expect that because he does that a lot. And when I think I first added all those Alan Raymond songs to the playlist to kind of give you the starter pack, for lack of a better term, of his music, there's you were like, what genre is this? And it's somewhere between R&B and grunge. And I think what I'm realizing now is that it's the project, and Roadhouse is much more of his R&B stylized music. And I think with this one, it's a character that he's kind of embodying. I have a quote here that he released. Together, the songs and video tell a story of an artist who creates an alter ego to handle success in the music industry and what happens when you lose yourself in that character. Ultimately, the album is by an artist and for an artist. It shines light on the negatives that come with this career choice, with an underlying theme that our shortcomings as artists are our strength that makes for good music, real music. So the album comes out March 18th, and I'm really, really looking forward to it.
That is a great quote from Alan Raymond, and I think I want to throw the video on there because I have not seen it.
That quote was courtesy of Complex, by the way.
Always Complex, right? Complex.
They cover much more the artist I care about than a lot of music sites, actually.
Complex is implicit in the sneaker bot game, so I'm kind of against Complex, but we won't go there on this podcast.
That's another podcast.
That's a completely different podcast where you and I just rant about the inequities in the sneaker game. Alrighty. Yes. Well, I really like this song. I'm really stoked for it. I think the correct answer to the question is what genre is Alan Raymond, and the answer is yes. I think that he does. I think that he does all of them. I think that he does all of them really well. And I'm excited to hear more. And I'm sure we'll get a couple of singles between now and March. So
I think so.
Yeah, man. Well, next up we have, I think, what is it, the 7th iteration in the V3 from Fire and Ice from Cascade. I think he actually even released another one that I didn't even throw on here. I think it was Room for Happiness. At this point, I'm just kind of like, at this point, I really like them. Don't get me wrong. I like all of the V3s, but just release the entire album as a whole piece of art rather than a single, I guess. Maybe it's just not conducive to our podcasting activities, but this is a decent track. It is not my favorite out of all of them. I think Love is still my favorite out of all of them. What are your thoughts on Eyes V3?
I agree that the Love V3 is the best V3. This version's okay. It feels a little bit like him trying to do a Lane 8 type of thing. And it's nowhere as good as the original, but Eyes is my favorite song off Fire and Ice, so I don't think anything's going to top the original.
So I have a hot take about Cascade. I think Cascade post Fire and Ice era, I think that EDM really took off, and I think that Cascade was really. I think Fire and Ice, the album, was really a catalyst to EDM taking off as far as it did. But I really think that he's kind of chasing. I think that since then he has chased specific trends in the genre, and while I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing in certain instances, like his album Automatic, I think that was released in 2015 or 2017. Which was clearly a future house kind of chasing. I'm going to chase this kind of sound. He does it better than the majority of producers that did it before him, but I do think that this is very much. I think we're seeing kind of a melodic house renaissance right now, and I think that a lot of the house fans are being compartmentalized, if you will. And I'm not mad at him for chasing this, to be completely honest with you, because melodic and Lane 8 kind of are defining the genre in late 2021, early 2022. So I'm not mad at it, but I think he did it poorly this time.
Yeah. And I'll take your hot take and I'll raise you a hot take that I don't think anything he's really done since Fire and Ice has been that great. Once he made Love Like That, I started like really getting back into his music, and he started sounding like him again to me. But he still hasn't really put out an album on the level of Strobe Light Seduction or Dynasty or Fire and Ice since that era, really.
When you think about it, I think Strobe Light Seduction really put him on the map, and hearing all of the new musicians kind of take over. It's funny. I saw a Reddit thread about Cascade, and somebody was saying somebody commented, "I would like Cascade if he wasn't this old fucking man," and I think that's kind of indicative of what we're seeing. But I love the majority of his music, and I urge all of our listeners. I'm going to put a link in the show notes to his record company that he owns, Arcade Records. They did and it's released under his Spotify, and I'll leave a link to both of the albums, Arcade Destinations, and the story that Cascade tells about his Iceland destination, and then the living room destination for the pandemic. But the story he tells about the Iceland trip was fucking wild. Homie almost died. So it's a crazy thing. I'll leave the link in the show notes for it so we can move on. But it's both of those albums are very good. And if anybody listening has not listened to those albums, give them a listen. It's not all Cascade. It's all of his record label, but it is very good. It is very good house music.
Interesting. Yeah, throw that in the show notes.
I definitely will. So this next song we have is a song that we reviewed earlier in part 1 of January's Brandon's Fates podcast, a song called Ordinary Love by Matt Lange, but this is the Crystal Method remix, and I have 3 words as my notes. My notes are Mother of God.
Dude, this fucking bangs. I love everything about it. It's so good.
I don't know how much you know about the Crystal Method. I was introduced to the Crystal Method from a Need for Speed soundtrack. I can't even tell you which Need for Speed it was, because I think there's like at least 75 of them. But God, man, this song this gets it, man. They get it. This is exactly what you would expect from them, and they still kind of maintain that Matt Lange vocal feel, which I love. Mm-hmm. And God, man, the
root of the song's still there. Just it's turned up to 11. It's got that like 2010s Wolfgang Gartner Mastercraft, like that electro crunch to it.
Yeah, man, this is good electronic music for sure.
Yes. Yeah, early contender for remix of the year for sure.
Easy, bro, easy. Oh, right. Oh man. All right. So next we have another banger. We have "In the Dark" by Purple Disco Machine, featuring Sophie and the Giants. John, there are so many good elements to this song. Sophie and the Giants. I don't know if that's a band or just a woman, but the great voice. The drums are fucking awesome. The atmosphere in this song is just fucking amazing. What a way to release a single after you've been announced on a Coachella lineup.
Yeah, props to him for getting that booking, by the way. I realized after we'd reviewed the All I Want, Boys Noise, Purple Disco Machine remix that I'd never heard any of Purple Disco Machine's actual music. So seeing this pop up, I was like, this is good. I'll throw it on. And then I hear it, and it's like making me want to create an aerobics montage or something. It's incredible. I love this.
I'm surprised we haven't talked about this, and I'm just realizing now that we haven't. I've actually seen Purple Disco Machine. Walking into Coachella 2016, they had a special tent called Despacio, and Despacio was just an audiophile's fucking dream. They had a bunch of like high-end speakers with, I think there was something like 16 different receivers in the room that were channeling all of the music to all of the different speakers. And I believe that year Prince had died. And Purple Disco Machine was set to DJ, I think, for 8 hours that day. It was like Purple Disco Machine all fucking day in Despacio. And I'll see if I can find any videos or any links to anything talking about it. But when we walked in that Friday, it was all Prince. And we stayed there for an easy 30 minutes, just cooling down because it was in the air conditioning, because all the receivers, you can't have those machines go bad. Also because the desert. But man, that was my first foray into Purple Disco Machine, and that was that was neat. And I'm glad to hear some more originals from him. And I think, like you, I had not really listened to a lot of his original music other than that Boys Noise remix that you just talked about. And yeah, that kind of sparked the interest, and I followed them on Spotify, and I'm really glad I did because this song is great.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Cool, man. Next up, we have a song by Sabrina Claudio, Put on Repeat. Tell me what your thoughts were on this one, John.
Not my favorite Sabrina Claudio song. Very generic and repetitive. Anybody that wants to hear why you should listen to good Sabrina Claudio music, Belong to You featuring Black or Unravel Me. Those are like incredible R&B tracks that she's made, but not much she's made since then has been on the same level. So I don't know. I was a little disappointed with this one. What about you? What do you think?
I think you mispronounced Six Lakh's name. The guitar solo at the end is fucking awesome on this song.
Yeah, that part's good.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, it's kind of 80s ish. I mean, there's some interesting vibes. Something I will probably not be revisiting.
Yeah, me either. It's a skip for me.
That's okay too. Glad you threw it on though. All right, next up on the singles we have Themba featuring Thoko and Black Coffee remix. I mean, Black Coffee is just good for the soul. I have not heard the original of this track, and I to be honest with you, I don't really think I need to, because this is great, man.
Yeah, every once in a while, he just knocks it out of the fucking park when it comes to a remix, and he did that here. Wasn't a huge fan of the vocals my first few times through, but when you're listening with like some good bass on it, it all comes together pretty nicely. This is a really good remix.
I really like how Black Coffee touches. He produces with the sounds that you can't hear, you kind of have to feel. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's well said.
I really like the way Black Coffee produces his music.
Yeah, it's very nuanced.
There's an interview that he does with Jason Bentley, I believe, and talks about him recording his first album, and how he recorded it on some shitty Windows 98 PC, and how it took forever to put together because of his processing time, and just really kind of inspirational, if you ask me, because he kind of reaches out to the crowd and is like, or the listeners rather, or the camera, and says, just fucking do it, guys. If you can't, or you think you can't, you're fucking wrong. Go do it. And I love that. I love that about him.
Great words to live by.
Yes, sir. Moving on, we have Khruangbin, is I think how you pronounce this, with
I
Leon
have
Bridges.
no idea.
Khruangbin. Chocolate Hills. I don't care how you pronounce it, man. This is bluesy. It's chill. It's just good music, man. The guitar, the bass, Leon's voice, they all just come together in this beautiful, beautiful way, man.
Yeah, it's very soulful. It's got a super live feel to it as well. I really like it. I think this Khruangbin announced a tour recently too. So I'm sure they will be releasing more music as well. I don't know if this is like a new project. I don't really follow them, but this is all really good. I think Leon's like way of tying the whole vibe of the song together just is incredible.
I actually think, and I'm not 100% certain, but I think that it is a project with Leon. So I think this is the second, maybe the third song that we've heard with Khruangbin and Leon Bridges, and I think that they're going to release a full project together. I'd be surprised if they didn't, because they just work so well together,
Yeah.
So I'm excited to hear more from it, because this is very good. This is just good music, bro.
Oh, fuck yeah. I agree. This is fantastic.
Speaking of things that are absolutely fantastic, let's talk about Dash Berlin.
You go first.
All right, man. Well, Dash Berlin still has it. This is a great trance song. It's classic, if you ask me. I mean, it's just Dash Berlin can do no wrong, in my opinion. I think that this is. I threw the extended mix on here. The other mix is fine, but we're adults, so we listen to extended mixes, and this is good, man. I don't think that Dash Berlin can get trance wrong. Even his bad songs are good trance songs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's the pizza of trance for sure. I totally get it.
Oh shit.
It doesn't give me like the same euphoric high that Till the Sky Falls Down or those types of tracks give me, but it's good trance. And like you said, he really can't do trance wrong. He does a version of the same song over and over again. It's not really diminishing returns. It's just, you know what you're going to get. And if you like this kind of music, you're going to like almost every song of his.
You know what's funny is I think songs like this that, I mean, won't give us the feels as if we were 19 again, but they kind of spark these conversations between music nerds like you and I. And I think we talked about our favorite trance songs of all time, and how we kind of like came to know them. And there's always like a story behind your favorite trance song. If you're ever into trance, or if you're ever into raving, you come across a trance set and you're like, whoa, and yeah, man, this is if it even gets those conversations going, I think that's important. Also, if ATB, if you're listening, please, please, please release your 9 a.m. on vinyl.
Dash was one of the last DJs I saw like in the whole rave era of Southern California. I saw him at the Hudson, which was insane.
Jesus Christ, man.
It was supposed to be Winterfest, and the rumor was that Insomniac bought the venue out the day of the festival so that the event wouldn't happen, because it wasn't an Insomniac event. And the venue agreed, canceling the festival the day of. So they ended up spreading, I think, the venue across the Hudson, Gotham, and Faroes. And Dash was only going to be at the Hudson, and he was the main advertised headliner that everyone was there to see. The line was wrapped so far around the block. It was like, I'm not talking twice as long as like a sold out normal night there. I'm talking like 4 to 5 times as big, because of the amount of people that the festival venue would have held. And he finally came on at like 2 a.m. in that tiny room. and it was insane, dude. He opened with Waiting, and he played, I feel like, all of his main songs like 2 or 3 times, and it was insane. It was back when they used to throw free t-shirts out during sets all night. I wish I would have caught one, but I didn't. And yeah, that was kind of the end of an era for me that night, and it's cool to see him still going.
Well, I'm actually sure that Insomniac are bummed about buying the Hudson Gotham because I don't see that venue advertised ever. So
Oh, they ended up buying that.
isn't that what you said?
No, no. So Winterfresh was a festival booked by a different company that was supposed to happen at a different venue, and
Got it.
Insomniac allegedly like booked the venue that night, even though it was
Ah,
already booked for this festival because they're Insomniac and they have all this money, and they were trying to like crush the competition, but it still happened. It was insane.
that's awesome, man. That's a good time, man. Pharaohs. You mentioned Pharaohs, which is a venue that doesn't get mentioned enough when talked about the Southern California rave scene because I don't know, man. I have fond memories of sneaking into that festival or that venue, rather that
Pajama
water
Jam,
park,
bro. Yeah.
like whatever you want to call it. Well, thank you, Dash Berlin, for letting us reminisce on this, and we're gonna go ahead and move on now.
Delete your Plur Life profile now.
Also, download the photos because they're great. Like there are some
They're
photos
also
of.
very
I
incriminating for a lot
guarantee
of
you, if you
people.
were in the Southern California rave scene, your photo is on plurlife.com, and that website is still up. So go grab your photos, go find them.
Show them to your future employers. They'll love these pictures.
Also, show them to your future children. Alrighty. Moving on, we have a great, absolute, just fantastic concept of a song. This song is called Robot Writes a Love Song by Pup. I need to hear your thoughts on this song.
I really like the song. I'm fucking loving just the overall resurgence of pop punk right now. I hope MySpace is next. I'm really excited for their new album to drop, but them giving it a release date of April 1st makes me a little fucking skeptical that it's going to be some sort of April Fool's joke. And if it is, I'll be a little pissed, but great song. Really looking forward to the album.
Uh, if I know anything about Pup, they're actually going to be releasing on April 1st, if anything is a joke, they're going to release a joke album on the first and the real album on the second. But man, this is just fantastic, dude. I love it when you can hear growth in musicality without kind of a huge genre swing. You know what I'm saying? Like you can hear that this is clearly still punk and pop punk, whatever you want to call it. But you've got some musical growth. You've got more than the three chords, and it still really works for their vibe. And God, I love this concept. The concept of a robot writing a love song. This is just so Pup, man.
Getting a lot of good ass concept records lately, and I'm all about it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm super here for the concept records. So we'll see we'll see what happens with this one. I have high hopes. I'm a large Pup fan. My wife is a large Pup fan. I think this is going to be a good one. Moving on, we have Walkin' by Denzel Curry.
Yes, I am fucking excited. Sorry, I was taking a drink of water there really quick. I am fucking excited for
Good,
this,
man,
man.
because this is fucking great. This is
Um,
awesome.
dude, holy shit. This is incredible. And if it's any indication of how the rest of the album will sound, I think we're in for a classic. I don't know if it's called Melt My Eyes or Melt, something like that, but we might be in for a classic. He's just different. Like he floats over the beat. I think there's a rap by the numbers Twitter. Shout out to them if they're hearing this. And they like break down how many like flow changes and stuff, like really just rap by the numbers. And he had something like 27 different flow changes in this song. Just unreal, man. The guy's a machine. He's only getting better. I can't wait for this album. What about you?
I fucking loved this, man. It got you and I texting about how I still listen to Zoo on the regular, and man, I was disappointed with Denzel Curry's song in that DC comic book thing that I was kind of really excited about, and then ended up being kind of a big old flop. But this is reinvigorating my love for Denzel Curry and kind of exactly what I love about him. And like you said, he just kind of floats over this beat, and I'm stoked, man. Bring it on. Let's see what happens.
Yes. And also going to be a concept album. Check out the music video if you haven't. It's like Blade Runner in the desert type of thing. It's pretty tight.
Is that for Walkin?
Yes.
Alrighty, we're gonna go ahead and throw that in the show notes. We've got the Walkin music video by Denzel Curry. Cool, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to watch that.
Yes. I'm also excited about the next song.
The next song we have is Ocean View by Klangstoff, showing off their new album artwork. They've got some new logos and shit. Take it away, my man.
Man, so we've been following them since they became a band. I caught on to them pretty early, and I can't remember if you discovered them independently or if I shared them with you, but we both got into them.
You definitely shared them with me.
Okay. I thought
you.
It was that. Of course. Oh yeah, I think I showed you them because I was like, "There's no way you could say you like this band and you don't like Radiohead." I remember the fight. Okay.
I can still say that.
Yes. You're so stupid. Oh my god. So, anyways, back to the point. I really liked the Everest EP, and I liked the album The Noise You Make Is Silent. But this song sounds a lot more like Close Your Eyes to Exit. And I'm really excited for them to get back to that sound a little bit because it's the album that made me a fan. And it was just a perfect debut album and really unlike anything else anyone's making right now. And I'm excited to not just hear them go back to that sound, but see how they've progressed within that realm of music. How did you feel about it?
Kind of exactly the way, exactly the same thing I said about Pup, which is you can feel growth in the musicality without giant genre swings. You know, this is almost exactly what I expected. It's chill and great. I'm getting major Bob Moses vibes. And like you said, exactly the comparison to Close to Exit is exactly kind of what I need from them. I liked the majority. I liked the majority of their releases, but Close to Exit, like you said, you and I kind of really got into that album when it came out. And I think we got into them because we followed Mind of a Genius or something like that. I think that's how you found them and sent them over to me.
Zoo was the bridge of all of it. We got super into Zoo. And I realized he was on some management label called Mind of a Genius. And they had Gallant. And then I found Gallant because he did Testarossa music with Zoo. And I was like, This guy's incredible. And so I listened to Ology. And that became my favorite like R&B album up there with House of Balloons of the entire decade.
Yep.
And then they signed They, who were like 90s grunge rap and incredible. Fun fact. And then they signed Klangstoff as the fourth band. And here's a story about how much I love Close Your Eyes to Exit, even though they are up there with my favorite groups as well. I ordered the Gallantology EP or album off of the Mind of a Genius site. It said sold and we'll let you know when it's shipped. I didn't get a note back for like 6 months. I started like writing them on Twitter, even though it didn't seem like they were using Twitter. And finally, somebody writes me back and is like, that Gallant album's been sold out. Pick anything else you want. And they had a double LP of They's first album with like leather bound casing that was like $35-$40 in value retail.
Jesus.
And they had Close Your Eyes to Exit, which is like $19.99 single LP. And I picked Close Your Eyes to Exit.
Honestly, good choice.
Yeah, I mean, it's way more of a vinyl record, so I don't regret it at all. But I really, really love that album. And Mind of a Genius was on a run there for a while. Holy shit.
Well, and it's one of those things where they're on a run, but like nobody knows who these artists are. Like there's 10 to 50,000 monthly listeners on Spotify or something like that, which is
all different genres of music too.
Yeah, and I mean all of it is relatively unknown, and quite honestly, the Klangstoff isn't a very popular genre of music. It doesn't really fit into indie rock. It doesn't really fit into rock. It doesn't really fit into grunge. You know, it kind of just fits into its own little niche. And this song is a perfect example of that, and really the epitome of what we like to see. Well, at least what I like to see on indie bands. Catalogs is this kind of ethereal, chill, kind of like almost house influenced rock, and I fucking love it, man. This is good, and if this is indicative of what we're gonna get from an album, I am 1000% excited.
Yeah, same.
Super stoked.
Keep an eye out for a release date.
Good job, Clankstoff. Moving on to something else that I absolutely fucking loved. We have Warpaint with Champion. Man, I just fucking love this. This is the bass on this song is immaculate. The vocals are near perfect. The percussion and the drums just kind of float around while still providing some structure. This is just an incredible song, and I can't talk enough about how much I like this song.
Interesting. It's not, I agree with everything you said, but it's still not really like my typical palette of music sonically. But there's like a certain hypnotic quality that keeps me listening to it, I guess. It's not like something I want to turn off. It's just not something I typically listen to, but it's well done.
I am going to indulge you, or make you indulge yourself, into the self-titled album Warpaint by this band. They make some pretty neat music, man, and it's not your typical indie rock. And I really enjoyed this song, and I think it really reminds me of their self-titled. So
definitely
give it a listen, my man. Throw it on your listen to next playlist.
I'm doing that right now. 2014 Warpaint. Got it.
Yep, it's an older one.
It is on there.
Kind of feels weird to say. All right, moving on to something that's new. We've got Business Techno with Miss Anna with an EP called Journey to the Underworld. What were your thoughts on Anna?
I wasn't really feeling it, man. I don't know. I don't know Anna as a person or as an artist. But yeah, I made it all the way through, but I didn't want to revisit any of it. It was just kind of in one ear, out the other music. It didn't leave an impression on me in any way, positive or negative.
So you heard me say business techno, and that is a term that is used in the industry or on the forums regarding specifically techno music, which is basically just music that is out there to make money and play Ibiza and like play yacht parties and shit like that. And my
stuff
only,
we wouldn't hate on if we could afford to do.
Exactly. My only notes on this are techno, because that's really all that this is. That's my only note, is one word on this entire EP, and none of it is bad, and none of it is incredibly great. In fact, this was released by Afterlife Recordings, and if you go to Afterlife's Spotify, they have a playlist filled with their releases, and most of them are really good. They've got some Tale of Us on there. Stefan Bodzin is on there a number of times. Solomon has released a bunch of singles with Tale of Us, and this just kind of it didn't do much for me, but it didn't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I like techno, and I'm glad I listened to this EP.
It's an understatement.
I probably wouldn't. Come on, I probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't revisit this one. So,
same.
Cool, man. Well, something that you added on here, we've got Rex Orange County with "Keep It Up." Tell me about Rex Orange County and "Keep It Up," sir.
So I discovered Rex Orange County when I saw his features on Flower Boy, or when I heard them. He's on that album a couple times vocally, and I think he had a hand in the production of the album as well, which you can kind of get from this song, from the drum machine, guitar, strings. Like, it's a very simple formula that he plays with, but he does it well. I think his music all has like a certain upbeat quality, and it's not going to be for everyone, but I kind of dig it. And he's confirmed that this is for a new album, and that Tyler will actually have a feature on the album. So it'll be cool to hear them together. If you have not really heard Rex before, I would recommend Best Friend, Sunflower, or Loving Is Easy. Those are like the 3 songs of his that made me a big fan. I think your wife would really like those songs as well.
You know, I actually think that my wife would love this type of music. I never got into Rex Orange County. I've heard the name out of 1,000 people's mouths and on a ton of fucking lineups and on a bunch of features. And I own Flower Boy in physical media, and this is good. It's fun and it's poppy. His name is the Chanel West Coast of music, and I don't hate it, right? But I don't know, man. So because you just said it, maybe one of the reasons why I thought this was because I thought Rex Orange County did rap. Didn't he feature? He featured on Flower Boy, is what you said. And
Rex, no, he sings. Though.
He sings. Okay.
Yeah, he sings. There's a rapper called Rex Life Raj that you might be thinking of. That's kind of on Spotify. Throw those 3 songs that I said on your listen to next.
I will definitely do that.
And that'll be pretty much the end test on if you like him or not.
I did enjoy this. Nothing stood out to me as super revolutionary, but I did enjoy it. So I will definitely.
It didn't stand out to me on the first listen, but I threw it on today in the car, and I was like really vibing to it. So
interesting.
I don't know.
All right.
Maybe it's a grower.
Maybe I'll throw it on again. We'll see. Minds can be changed, everybody. Moving on, we've got Charlie XCX featuring Rina Sawayama. Sawayama?
Yeah. Sawayama. I don't know. Least favorite single from the album so far, but not bad.
This is decent. It actually feels very 2010s EDM banger to me, which... To me,
a lot of her music has that quality.
That's kind of not a compliment. Like it's one of those things where it's like really formulaic, and I don't know. I was just transported back to 2011 at a festival stage, and I don't know. This wasn't revolutionary, but we'll see what happens. I'm excited for the album. So
3:30 in the Gobi tent. I gotcha.
Something like that.
Let's move on to a fucking classic.
A fucking classic, bro. We've got Benny the Butcher and J. Cole on Johnny P's Caddy. Take it away, John.
Man, what to say about this song? So, first of all, I love that instead of trying to make a quote-unquote hit song with commercial appeal, they just got on a beat and rapped about where they're at in their career. No hook, no gimmicks, just bars. And J. Cole might not be putting out the all-time classic albums that he started his career with, but he's still, without question, one of the best rappers right now and of all time.
Easy.
Every time there's a new rapper that people try and say is the new real voice, Cole jumps on a track with them and shows you that he's not just as good as them, he's better. And he does it with respect. That is not in any way a dismissal of Benny's talents or his future. He is clearly going to be a gigantic voice in rap for a long time, but nobody's just going to come and surpass what J. Cole has done over the past decade in music. And I think that this is what I've been looking for out of the J. Cole features we've been getting the past few years. I feel like other than the JID one and maybe one or two others, he's just kind of been matching the people's style. This one, it feels like he had something to say, and I feel like that's the difference. What about you?
I have to absolutely agree with you. J. Cole has left something to be desired in basically all of his music over the past couple of years, and this, I mean, I listened to this song like 8 or 9 times, like it is since you added it, and yeah, man. Maybe it was even me that added it. I don't know. No, I think I tried to add it and it had already been added. I think it was like 9:02 p.m. when it came out or something.
Oh,
like that.
buddy, I was on.
Yeah, I know you were. Yeah, man. This is fucking great, man. It's one of those things where like it makes you think, wow, it's got to be like humbling of Benny to be like, hey Cole, you want to be on this song? Like, you know, like
Yeah.
he's got to like really put his own talent into perspective. And I think they both kill it on this song, but I think Cole shines and fucking finally, bro. Like,
But Benny's run right now, his Rick Ross feature that he had last year, his album last year, The Plugs I Met Too, he's killing it himself, and
oh,
he's gonna be where
absolutely.
J. Cole is right now in no time, but he's not quite there yet.
Not quite, but he'll get there. He'll get
Oh,
there.
he's well on his way. Yes.
Yeah. Good job, Benny. Alrighty. Moving on, we have Coltrane featuring Lucky Day with a song called Bag. Excuse me. This song is classy. There's a great vocal performance. It's smooth instrumentals. Man, the piano at the end of this song is fucking awesome.
I thought you were gonna fucking hate this
No,
song.
I really liked it.
Interesting. Okay, we covered a few Coltrane songs I think last year sometimes. Nothing like major singles. I think maybe just some like Lucy's he'd released, and we both thought he was good. This is pretty good. It feels almost more like a Lucky Day song than a Coltrane song to me, and probably not one I'm gonna revisit. But I thought it was a really good song.
You know I'm a sucker for analog classical instruments, and that piano at the end just got me.
Understandable, man. I totally get that.
Alrighty. So when I saw these two artists on one song, I was like, the fuck? We've got Disclosure and Zed on You've Got to Let Go If You Want to Be Free. And my man, see just the kind of like reeling you get from seeing Disclosure and Zed on the same song is like, oh, what am I in for? Right,
Mm-hmm.
right now, you know. What I really like about this song, it's fucking great, and it's really fun. What I really love is you can hear both Disclosure and Zed on the track together. You can hear both of their musical influences on the same track, and I think they blend it very well. What are your thoughts?
I agree with what you said. I just wish at times, and it's because we haven't had a Zed album in too long, that the dial on which sound they were going towards a little more was leaning towards Zed. I feel like it's a Disclosure song with a lot of Zed flourishes, and you can hear his influence, but it never feels like a Zed song to me. It
That
feels like
is
a
fair.
Disclosure song.
That is fair. It feels like a Disclosure song with a little bit of Zed. I get that. I will say something. Zed blew up after he released Clarity. Everybody knew who Zed was. Everybody walking through CVS knew who Zed was. And I gotta say, man, I've seen Zed twice, and that motherfucker puts on a show. Like
Yeah.
easily some of the best electronic music shows I've seen. Easily top 10. Both of those shows, like individually, are in my top 10 of best electronic dance music shows I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, you've talked to me about that performance a lot and have echoed the praises of Zed for years and years. Nobody can say you were not a day one Zed guy. We both got to witness him go from like electro house to kind of electro pop DJ, which was not always a good journey for the artists you follow, but he did it in a way that it was kind of hard to hate, you know?
Yep.
And Disclosure, now that I'm thinking of it, kind of followed a similar path, not with the electro house, but to what you were saying with Zed, like this overnight stardom, kind of what Clarity and those songs did for his career. Like Disclosure, Latch became a gigantic hit. They worked with The Weeknd after, they worked with Lord after on a song that did
Oh,
really well.
Caracal.
Yeah, like they've had a lot of big success too. So I I don't know. I feel like this is a great song and like you said, a lot of fun, but it's also I don't know. I feel like I still wanted more from it in a way, but that's just me being greedy. I understand that.
You know what's funny is I feel like that about most of Disclosure's music, but I think it's a little unfair. I think last year, Disclosure, it could have been 2019. Disclosure released an EP and they did like a live stream. It might have been through Circle or something like that. And they really went back to their house roots. And it's just house music. And I think they're trying to separate themselves from the Sam Smith Latch popularity. I
Yeah,
really think they're
separate
trying
yourself
to.
from timeless music and great songs.
Well,
It's like
I think they're trying to go more into the house realm, and I can't really blame them for that because they are house musicians, right? But at the same time, when you hear Settle as a whole, you hear Settle as an album and Clarity as an album, those two individual albums defined eras, bro. Like, I listen to Settle regularly.
yeah.
Yeah, and like easy. My wife and I will listen to Settle once every 2 months, and it is a staple in our household, and it's just one of those things, man. I don't know, man. I think I agree with you though. I think we did definitely not hear as much of the old school Zed that we kind of wanted when we saw a Disclosure X Zed feature.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy this song, so shit. Maybe we'll get more. Maybe we probably won't. Maybe I'm just barking up the wrong tree there.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we get a new album from either of them soon because I'd be happy to hear new music from either.
Maybe both. All right, moving on. We've got Ella Mai with DFMU, which I think stands for Don't Fuck Me Up. And
Yep.
I love this trailing kind of ethereal piano beat. I fucking loved this, man. Have we ever reviewed LMI before? I don't think so. I think this is the first time I've
No,
seen her name.
I think it's May. I think it's
May.
May, LMA.
LMA.
But no, we haven't. Her last single came out in 2020, and her last album came out, I think, in 2018, which was her debut, which is fantastic. She's incredible. The beat on this is perfect. Her voice sounds great. She's due for a new album. Hopefully this is the start of that process. But
This is
when this
really
dropped, I was like, oh, my chest. Like,
this is really good, man.
yeah, fantastic.
This is really good. Well, moving on to something interesting. Let's talk about Kylo Kish featuring Vince Staples? Question mark. Which
In
is
ad-lib
the
form,
song
yes.
"New Tricks, Art, Aesthetics, and Money." My man, this is very interesting. I mean, it's not a bad song. Did I miss Vince's verse? I think I listened to this song like 6 times thinking there's no way I missed his verse. Is
No,
there?
he's just doing ad libs throughout the song. That's all. It's
Yeah.
not a verse.
Yeah, that's
They've worked.
really dumb, John.
I get that. I get that. They've worked together a number of times. I think they're pretty close friends. He just throws his name on things once in a while. She announced an album coming out. I wouldn't be surprised if he has an actual verse or two on there beyond just this. Musically, this kind of felt like a Sophie Needs a Ladder, One Trick Pony by Deadmau5 type of song. It was really interesting, very different. I didn't hate it. I think we'll review the album. I might skim it first, but we'll see. The album's called American Girl, and it's out March 25th.
Oh, like that Lenny Kravitz album.
Except GURL.
Got it. That's how they're getting away with that. Well, I didn't hate it. It was interesting. Alrighty. We've got Nigo Aria featuring ASAP Rocky. I liked it. Some trap shit. I'm not opposed to it. It's not awful.
No, Nigo, I don't know much about like high fashion or any of that stuff. And I know he created Bape, and
He did.
Yeah, he was the creator of Bape. He was in a group called the Teriyaki Boys back in 2005 that like Kanye did a few songs. Kanye did a song or two with them. I don't think any of it's on streaming, but it might be on YouTube. I had no expectations going into this song, but it was really good. I think he's going to be releasing an album with maybe some Tyler, some Pusha T is confirmed on that album. Musically, I thought it was good. I liked the piano a lot. It was a really good trap song. And ASAP Rocky, soon to be father of Rihanna's baby. Crazy.
What a world we live in.
What a world.
What a time to be alive. I think it was Andrew Bernard who is infamously quoted by saying, I wish we knew when we were in the good old days. Alrighty, moving on. We have Richer Than I Ever Been, deluxe version of these songs. My man, I'm surprised that none of these actually made the album, although I guess I understand the whole concept of deluxe albums. I like these. I really like the Anderson .Paak verse. Who's doing the verse on Vicarion?
I have no idea. Was
Like,
it
who
not
is
Rick
that?
Ross?
It's there's a verse on Vacheron that I have no idea who it is. I can't hear. I don't know the voice, but it's very good. Whoever's verse that is,
I have no idea, but shout out to that person.
right?
I thought, yeah, all three of these songs were good. I feel like, and I guess we'll talk about it shortly with the Audrey Nuna songs too, but there's kind of two kinds of deluxe albums. There's ones that feel like songs that didn't make the album, and then there's ones that feel like songs that were recorded shortly after the album was complete using the same train of thought and inspiration.
Yep.
This feels just like songs that didn't quite make the album. So I'm not mad at these at being a deluxe release.
No, I'm not mad at it. I really like the Anderson .Paak feature. So
Yeah, he's great. It's weird hearing him not in Silk Sonic at the moment.
right. Alrighty, so we've got coming up next a fucking banger by Saba Survivors
Saba,
Guilt
yeah.
featuring G Herbo. This is fucking hard, bro. This is great.
Yeah, he keeps
This is
killing
great.
it. Yep, we will be getting his album in a couple nights, tomorrow night, actually. So we have that to look forward to. I didn't really need the G Herbo part at the end, but at least it's tacked on to the end, so it's easy to skip.
Yeah, no, I really, really liked this. I couldn't care less about his G Herbo, whatever the hell it was, but this is very good.
Saba's unreal right now.
This is
He's
very good.
destroying it.
Killing it. Alrighty, my man, you threw these two songs on here, and I did a little bit of research, but
I was
take it away
hoping you
with a
would.
smile.
So it is comprised of Tom York and Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead, with a lot of production by Niall Godrich, and features contributions from a variety of different instrumentalists on different tracks. I really like these first two singles, very reminiscent of Radiohead, but they've experimented so much within that group that it's kind of hard for the two of them to not sound somewhat like Radiohead to me, even though Tom York's solo stuff doesn't really sound like Radiohead to me. Um, these are both like kind of throwback songs in a way. Like I wasn't really expecting to hear music like this. It's not very common, but very, very fucking excited for whatever this project has in store. I'm guessing it's going to be an EP or an album at the minimum. What did you think of it, Mr. I can't get into Radiohead?
Well, I'd like to say, me and your wife had a conversation a number of years ago in which I admitted that I was wrong. I do enjoy Radiohead's music. I'm not a fan of theirs, mainly because after listening to In Rainbow a handful of times, I realized that I am not a big fan of time signature changes in that type of rock music. And the way that they do it turns me off a little bit, but I can appreciate how great their music is. They make great rock music. I cannot debate that. I will always be wrong if I said they made bad music. And I've said that for a number of years. I just want it to be live on the air in public that I'm wrong. If anybody has talked to me about Radiohead and I've said Radiohead sucks, if you saw me out there wearing my Radiohead sucks t-shirt, I'm just kidding. I don't have one of those. But but I just wanted to preface all of what I'm about to say with that. You Will Never Work in Television Again is a good song. It is not revolutionary. It's not anything that's rewriting any sort of script, but it's good. It's fine. The Smoke, however, has a bass line that just will not quit. Who does the bass? Is that Les Claypool? It's really good, man. It's definitely not Les Claypool, but you get what I'm trying to say. Like, it's really good. You already knew that I was going to love that bass line. But yeah, man, I did enjoy these. Whatever they put out, whether it be an EP or an album, I am ready to listen to it. I'm ready to digest it, and I'm ready to. I'm ready to listen to it. I will, however, give Kid A another listen.
I'm an OK Computer guy.
OK Computer. Okay. I think In Rainbow was my favorite of theirs, but I haven't really. Again, I'm not a huge fan of theirs, so I haven't really dived in as much as I probably should have. I'll give OK Computer again another listen, but I think it was Kid A that was really that big time signature experimental kind of let's do like one riff every 30 seconds sort of vibe that like I really just didn't dig. But I'll give OK Computer another listen.
Learn to love it.
Or not. Moving on.
Get out of it, get into it.
Moving on, we have Dashboard Confessional, a not so guilty pleasure of mine. I'm a huge Dashboard Confessional fan. For everybody that don't know, my wife and I, we actually had our officiant quote Chris Carrabba at our wedding ceremony. That's how much we like Dashboard Confessional. I did not like this song as much as I really wanted to, but I'm always going to be a Dashboard fan. What were your thoughts on Burning Heart by Dashboard Confessional?
I hate it like everything else.
I know.
His dumb beard and his girl going to Coachella hat. I don't like any of it. Get out of here. I know I talk about how much I hate him, but I really do hate his music too.
At least you're consistent, bro. At least you're consistent.
I do what I can.
Well, we won't spend much more time on this, but I am reminiscing after I listened to these songs in order. When next up we have Meshuggah with Abysmal Eye, and I don't know if you remember, but listening to I think it was Between the Buried and Me's Colors 2, and then moving right along to the War on Drugs new album.
Yeah, that juxtaposition was crazy.
I will never forget that. And this is kind of just like that, except for in the opposite order. What did you think about the Abysmal Eye, sir?
I'm not going to lie. I did not know they were still an active band. This song was a lot better than I was expecting. The old dudes can still rock.
I think they are most famous for their album. I think it was In Zen. But they haven't released an album in a long fucking time. They released an album in 2016, but nobody really cares about that one. The real last album that they released was Koloss in 2012, but I mean, they haven't released like a real Obzen, rather, in 2008 is their most famous. I liked this song more than I liked the majority of their discography, to be honest with you.
Interesting.
They are progressive. What would you call it? Prog death. So, something like prog thrash or something like that. The time signature changes that they fuck with sometimes are really jarring, really abrasive. But on this song,
very Radiohead,
everything just kind of fits, and none of it is Tom York, and it's less proggy than their other music, but I think it really works for them. And fuck it, dude, these guys are old, man. Fucking rock on, dude. Sound better than At the Gates. I'll go ahead and tell you that.
Yes, I'll give you that. Dudes rock.
They definitely do. Well, I don't know if this is from a new album. I've done exactly zero research on this. If it is for a new album that's happening, which I think it is, judging by the album art, it could be called Immutable. But if it is for a new album, I think we're going to review it. I think we've had a major lack of metal this year besides the Under Oath. So, I don't really even consider that fully metal anyways.
Only a month into the year.
Bro, it's been a whole month.
Yeah, you're right.
It is the 2nd of February, bro. We've had one Under Oath album and one Meshuggah single. Give me a break. Alrighty. Moving on, we have Kill the Noise featuring Wolfgang Gartner with How You Like Me Now, with this with a I believe a vocalist Erica
Weetron,
Guitron.
something like that.
Well, I really wanted to like this, but I just didn't.
Yeah, it's dynamic and it's creative, but it's not really the typical electro house that we listen to or like.
I think the problem is that I can hear both Kill the Noise and Wolfgang Gartner, and it's like they're kind of fighting with each other, you know?
Yeah, yeah, their flavors aren't meshing.
Right. So, oh well. Moving on here, we have Ravina featuring Vince Staples, in which we actually have a verse from Vince. This is a ton of fun, man.
Oh man. So I don't know if you looked at her page at all, but this is a different artist altogether than I've ever really seen. I love this song. She sounds incredible. Vince's verse is fantastic. The instrumental brings the theme of the song and her new album together perfectly. And that concept is really something new to R&B. So I'm pretty excited for it. Her new album is going to be called Asha's Awakening, and it's about a space princess from ancient Punjab who learns about love, loss, healing, and destruction through a creative journey across centuries, quote unquote. I
Fuck
grew up
me
in
up.
a big Punjab populated area. There was a lot of Sikh, Punjab, a lot of people from East India, or I guess India. It's not East India, it's just India. But I grew up with this culture like all around me and the music and stuff, and I've never heard it applied to R&B. So I'm very, very excited to see how this project comes together. This song is fantastic, and I thought Vince fucking killed it too.
Vince just absolutely killed it, and I really liked this. I am super excited to hear more from this. So,
Yeah, should be good.
alrighty, moving on to the last one. We have the last single of the month, rather. We have Raven Lene. She spelled Raven wrong. Featuring Steve Lacy with Skin
That's so
Tight.
Raven.
I I don't know how I felt about this one. I was
It feels like an internet song, but without Sid singing, so it's not quite as good. Raven Lene is not bad. She's a decent R&B singer. This one's nothing that's gonna like propel her career forward, but it's not a bad song.
for sure. I basically have no thoughts on this except for the album cover is a little weird.
Agreed. The video is pretty weird too, but you don't need to throw that one in the show
I
notes.
probably will not. Something that I want everybody and their mother to listen to. I think we've finished the singles, so let's go ahead and move on to the albums. We have the first release of the year, or this month, or this part of the podcast. The first release of this
First piece of music of all time.
Imagine. Well, we've got Lane 8 with his album Reviver, and it's been highly anticipated on this podcast and by me as a human being, and I'm assuming by you as well, and I am so excited to talk about it. So I sat down with my wife. We threw it on the nice speakers, turned the bass up just a little bit, turned the volume up, and just kind of sunk in. And oh boy, this is a fun melodic house, just a beautiful album, man. Survive rather is just one hell of an opener. It's progressive as fuck, and the way it kind of just builds until those percussion and the beat drops comes in is just beautiful. Reviver's use of dead space is probably one of my favorites in modern house music. The way that he just kind of stops and then goes, just really, really, it just echoes how masterfully executed, and it just echoes how masterfully executed most of his music is. The drum fill is super neat on this one. All I Want's bass line is, it's just pretty, man. It's just fucking pretty. Arctic Lake's vocals are they're just so fitting, man. I love that Lane 8 is using Arctic Lake's vocals on so many of his songs, because I don't know, man. She just fits so well in this kind of realm that he's created. I feel like they were just kind of made for each other. I just love how he just comes back to using her. Watermelon Wormhole is a very interesting song. We've got number one, it's a great song title, but there's some really cool scales. And really neat kind of layering happening with the scales. Solomon Gray's vocals are a great touch on Together. Look, man, I just overall I really liked this album, and even just upon my first listen, I've listened to it probably 6 or 7 times since it came out. It's been on almost repeat all month. I like that he gave us almost an hour of music. I just love that there's just so much content to go through. This is an 8 out of 10. I think Red Lights or Nuclear Lethargy are going to be my standouts. Nuclear Lethargy is obviously the banger on the album, but Red Lights is really different and it kind of shows that polarity between the styles that he can do and how it's able to be executed in an album properly. What were your thoughts on Lane 8's Reviver, sir?
Interesting. So I think we both kind of walked away impressed, but I was both impressed and a little underwhelmed, to be honest. So he is so talented when he's at his best, and it makes the songs when he's not at his best seem a little inferior by comparison sometimes, even though on their own they're great pieces of music. And that feels like the case with some of this album at times. You and I have both been, like you said earlier, pretty hyped on this since the rollout started. And I think we were both expecting an instant classic. And it might be unfair to ever really expect that, but I really think we expect that because he's that good of an artist. This is a really, really good album, but I don't think it's an instant classic. We'll see how much it grows. But for me, like, it didn't give me this one's going to be with me forever. But I was like, this is only my first listen. So I know with his music and just with this type of music in general, like you said, you have to not only be in the right setting, but kind of in the right frame of mind as well to just embrace it and immerse yourself in it. I think What Have You Done to Me Through All Weight is a perfect 4-song run to close this album and the undeniable peak of the album, in my opinion, which great albums crescendo at the end. You shouldn't have an album that peaks in the middle too much to where you feel like, all right, when does this end? I feel like he does a great job pacing this album. Trampoline Counting Stars is just beautiful. I wish it was fucking 10 minutes long. It feels like it could have been his strobe, but instead it's kind of just an interlude, which is a little, like I said, just some of it, it's great, but I'm a little disappointed by where it ended up. There's some really great songs on the first half of this album that you covered perfectly. Reviver and Watermelon Wormhole being the two that I go back to most of the time when I'm revisiting that. I've listened to this whole album, I'd say 4 times, but typically when I'm just like clicking play or throwing stuff on my mix, I really just hit What Have You Done to Me and kind of go from there because I don't have an hour to listen to this every time. Yep. But this one's in my rotation. I'm going to be revisiting it periodically. It's a solid 7 out of 10. What Have You Done to Me is my easy standout.
Well, I will go ahead and agree with you, John. I think that we both expected an instant classic, and what we got was a grower, not a shower. And I think that I think that it may grow on you, and I think that it even may grow on me, but I don't think it'll hit the 9 or 10 out of 10 that I kind of wanted it to be when we first heard that he was doing an album. I will say that it was a little disappointing that he said that this is his most dance floor centric influenced album than ever has been, and he did release the same album as Brightest Lights, just with different songs, which is great. I love that, but it's not as housey as I would have liked it to be, and I guess. But other than that, I really enjoyed it, and for what it is, I appreciate it, and I'm glad you do too.
Definitely.
Cool, man. Well, moving on here. Next we have
Makami.
Makami. Album is Dollar Menu. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go. So, he had an album last year called Pay for Haiti or Pray for Haiti, Pay for Haiti, one of those. And it got a lot of critical acclaim. I saw it on a ton of end of year lists. I went and listened to it. Definitely not what I was expecting. It's a very minimalistic 90s East Coast sound that puts a lot of emphasis on bars themselves. We really don't hear this too often. It's kind of like Mobb Deep-ish a little bit. Like I've said before, there's a big difference between pop rap and real rap, and you don't really hear stuff like this or Benny the Butcher on the radio. It's more authentic to the genre's roots than a lot of what we hear today, but it's not always quite as enjoyable to listen to, in my opinion. If this album were released in the 90s, it'd probably be a classic, but now it feels like to Mobb Deep what Greta Van Fleet is to Led Zeppelin a little bit at times. But there's still a fucking market for it. It's really well done, and at times it's fucking great, honestly. I liked a majority of the album, I think. My standouts were like Barnum and Bailey, Schroeder, Vibin' Like Muhammad Inside the Bank Safe, which fantastic song title, and is actually the cover art. It's a famous picture of Muhammad Ali in a bank safe sitting on a stack of money, but they have photoshopped the crying Jordan face over him. This is just modern art, I guess. It's incredible. I
Quick,
really
somebody sell the NFT.
Oh my God. There's not a Bored Ape version of it yet. But yeah, hang this artwork in a museum. It's fantastic. The album, well, like I said, would probably be a classic if released at certain points in time. Right now, it's just a good album, but not really something I'll go back to. What about you?
I am going to disagree with you entirely right now. The only thing I think I'm going to agree with you on is that how this album cover is just beautiful. So, as a gigantic fan of Mobb Deep and America's Most Wanted and Murder Music from '94, I am just a huge fan of, specifically, surprisingly, I didn't even know that really the correlation, but I'm a big fan of Queensbridge, New York rap. And that's where Nas from Illmatic and Mobb Deep kind of formed. I have a feeling that they, weren't homies back in the day. But I will say that this is derivative at best, in my opinion. It's hard gang raps, which is great. I'm a big fan of hard gang rap music. Like, I'm a huge fan of like the heavy, almost to the point of gory rap music. I'm a really big fan of that. This just doesn't seem well done to me. There's some rhyming just to rhyme, and that's kind of the same reason I wasn't like a huge fan of Earl Sweatshirt's album that we discussed last month.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. To me, it feels unmastered and a little unfinished.
Very raw.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just didn't dig this. Maybe I should revisit it. I did listen to it twice because I listened to it and I was like, there's got to be a reason he put this on here. Let me actively listen to it.
Little did you know,
and
there was no reason.
I didn't. I didn't like it, and I am glad, however, you threw it on. So let's call it what it is.
I ended up giving it a 6.
I gave it a 4.
Nice.
Yeah.
I honestly thought you would like it more because you're such a Mobb Deep fan. That was the only reason I threw it on. It's not personally my thing.
I am a Mobb Deep fan. Murder Music is always going to hold a very, very, very special place in my heart. When I was 13 years old, I burnt a CD. Like it's just always going to hold a very special place in my heart, but this just didn't do it for me. So, but I appreciate you trying.
Of course.
I realized that I should have put this next one in the singles because it's an EP and not an album, but we're going to talk about it right now anyways. We've got Rich Brian with Brightside EP. Bro, I fucking loved this. This is fantastic. He's got a great flow. He's got fun lyrics. I'd never even heard the name Rich Brian, but apparently he's wildly popular at 11 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Should I know who this dude is? This is great. I really enjoyed this.
I threw him on for that exact reason. I've seen his name floating around, and I clicked on his page, and I was like, "This guy gets crazy plays." So I clicked play on the EP and listened to New Tooth, and I was like, "All right, he can rap. I'll throw it on." And that's pretty much my thought process behind it. It was a slow week, so I was looking for some fun stuff to add, something new for both of us. I did not like this as much as you did. I thought it was okay. It has an infectious energy to it from start to finish, but maybe it's after listening to like Makami right before it, but he's doing the speed rap thing so much that some of the bars aren't landing, almost like it's almost a little too fast. But I thought overall it was decent, and New Tooth was my favorite of the four.
I I really liked it. I think I like New Tooth also. That was my
You
favorite of it.
liked that Zach Fox EP last year too, and that was one where I think our opinions differed as well, and this reminded me a lot of that.
And this is the great reason that this is a great example of how music in and of itself is subjected. You and I both love rap music. You and I don't like all the same rap music. So
No.
it's kind of like how, I mean, you really enjoyed the Gojira album last year, but you really did not enjoy the Archspire album last year. So
Oh my God. No. God. Jesus.
well, we both like metal, so we both have to,
Yes.
But it's interesting. All
It
right,
is.
let's move on to another interesting moment on this playlist, and apparently in the world we have Boy Harsher with the album from all of the singles that we've been seeing, and I'm glad that we finally see it because it's pretty interesting. So, looks like Boy Harsher wrote this album called The Runner, which is the original soundtrack for a movie that Boy Harsher wrote called The Runner. I have not seen the movie yet. I did see the trailer, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw the trailer in the show notes because it looks like a pretty neat movie.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's more of an extended series of music videos than like a standalone story with a lot of dialogue, but it is technically a movie, yes.
A music movie, a movie music. I don't know. I'm fucking here for it. It doesn't really matter because even as a standalone album, this is great, bro. This is good. This is good music. It's synth pop with a little bit of a twist. I mean, we listened to a bunch of these songs from all the singles that they released, and I mean, it's only, what is it, 8 songs, so I think we got 4, maybe even 5 at singles. And
Oh, really? I only remember two.
oh, maybe
I remember Give Me a Reason and Machina. I don't remember any of the others.
well, Give Me a Reason is my standout. I really enjoyed listening to this, and I've listened to it a number of times. I think Give Me a Reason is still a standout just because of how well done it is, but this whole album is fucking great. I think I rated it an 8.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we differ a little bit. I thought it was good, but with all the context of the album aside, the movie part of it, I was ready for some good dark wave synth pop based on the singles that we got. And the rest of the album just didn't really hit me the same. I think we heard the best songs from the singles, Give Me a Reason and Machina, the clear standouts for me. Autonomy, oddly enough, sounds like what I imagined Jameson Parker would sound like if he made synth pop instead of one pretty good emo album in 2005. But yeah, okay album, not one I'll be revisiting. I gave it a 6 out of 10. Give Me a Reason was my standout as well.
Alrighty, all right. Well, I kind of like when we disagree, John, because we're both allowed to be wrong every once in a while, right?
Exactly.
We're both allowed to be wrong. All right, moving on. We had something that I am nearly for certain to be wrong about. We've got Amber Mark with 3 Dimensions Deep. Do you want to hear my thoughts, or do you want to share yours first?
Oh no, go for it, buddy.
So there is this album as a whole, for me, a little bit long-winded. There's just a lot of music. I think it's a little bit over an hour long. It is. It's good. There's a lot of variety of instrumentals, which I really enjoy. Her voice is great, however, at the same time, kind of unremarkable. Maybe it's just like more of the same for R&B standards, I guess. I don't know. I just that's just kind of just what I wrote down. So I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I gave it a 6 out of 10. My standout is What It Is.
Interesting. I figured that would be your standout. That one and Foreign Things seem to be like the clear winners. Is like people that don't really love R&B can get into those songs as well. You are wrong, but that's okay. That's why we do this. So I've been looking forward to this album since the first few singles, and I think all of her music kind of has like a certain sophistication to it, and that's what I really like about it. And that tends to be what I like about a lot of the like female R&B singers I listen to now, from I guess like her, Snow Allegra, Georgia Smith, Ella Mai. Like they all kind of have this similarity in their sound. It's not very trap influenced, I guess, as a lot of modern R&B is. And this album is full of a lot of the things I love about current R&B and those artists that I just mentioned. The production feels really tailored to her voice and her strengths, and it feels like it was thoughtfully crafted from beginning to end. I've been listening to her since she dropped her first EP back in 2017 and have kind of like followed the 5-year journey that it's been to this debut album. So I feel a little bit of personal attachment that factors into my scoring and stuff and how I receive it, but that's the fun of following an artist, honestly. And I don't really have one favorite track on this album. I have a handful. One, the intro, What It Is, Foreign Things, Cosmic, the list goes on and on. It's not a perfect album, I'll give you that. Even though it's a no skips for me, I feel it's about 2 to 3 songs too long, and I could have used a few less dance hall beats, but it's a solid 8 out of 10. And if I'm forced to pick, I'd say Foreign Things is my favorite.
For sure. Yeah, I figured it was going to be like that for you. And I kind of also figured that you knew that I was going to think of it as long-winded. Well, I'm glad you really enjoyed this one, man. I'm glad you've been...
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the R&B albums we've been covering the last year have been really long-winded. Like I know it's for streaming numbers, like that's why they're all doing these like 20-song albums, but some little self-editing would help in this case.
Well, there is one album that really stands out to me that really just hit it out of the park with her 17 songs, which is Her.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good album.
And that was her shortest album so far. She usually was doing like 30-song albums, 20-song albums or some shit.
Oh, that's weird. All right. Yeah. Well, moving on here, we have, you kind of alluded to it earlier. You wanted to talk about maybe the deluxe version of albums, but this is an album called A Liquid Breakfast Deluxe by a gal named Audrey Nuna. Have we talked about Audrey Nuna on this podcast before? I don't think we have.
I can't remember if we covered her album. I think I just added the one song from it, and you'll probably remember the lyric, I might just Kurt Cobain it, just face it.
Yep, definitely remember that lyric.
Yeah, that was on her album. Not one of her better songs, actually. I feel like we should have covered that album in full. We didn't. I kind of screwed up by not adding that one. She's got 2 really good songs in Comic Sans and Damn Right. Those are both fantastic. And I added this just because I liked that album. It feels like a lot of these were just kind of stream of thought songs that were made with, like I said earlier, a lot of the same tools used to make the album and the same train of thought. Feels like she's just kind of riding the wave of inspiration. There's a few gems on here, in my opinion. I liked Rebound. I liked Changes 1 and 2. There's also a few duds on here. Irene and Molars didn't really do it for me, but overall it was a decent collection of songs to like hold fans over until her next official release.
Well, I liked these. I don't think that we did review her last album. If we did, I'm sorry. These are fun beats. She has a very interesting kind of like drawl, kind of like pentameter almost. Maybe it's like her accent or something. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Somehow I probably won't revisit it. I gave it a 6. I don't know if we're doing a point system here, but
I didn't score for that one.
Yeah, I gave it a 6.5 out of these 7 songs, so whatever that means. Probably
Brandon, you
nothing.
can score it whatever the hell you want. You could score it 15 airplanes, and I would not argue.
Alrighty, it got a whole 4 tripods.
A dozen donuts.
Moving on here, we have an album that I've been talking about for a while. We had a couple of singles that we talked about, a little bit of Spotify drama, but we ended up getting a full album called Apocalypse Whenever by Bad Sons. I'm just going to go ahead and jump in, John. This is some really well done generic pop rock. I actually feel like... So, you know how the Foo Fighters are just generic rock?
Yep.
Somebody's got to do it. And the Foo Fighters do that sound extremely well the majority of the time. Sometimes they'll put out albums like Sonic Highways and nobody will care, you know? But other times they'll put out albums like Concrete and Gold and you'll be like, oh, wow, this is fucking great. And I think that Bad Sons are on that level, just on the pop rock side of things. They kind of have this generic, I'm just going to fill this void because somebody's got to do it sound. And I really enjoyed it. They've got this kind of like 2 p.m. festival banger sound going. It's like when you walk into a festival at 2:30 p.m. and you hear something fun on the main stage or the outdoor stage and you want to just run over there and dance for a little bit. This is almost what you expect to hear, right? It's not heavy fucking EDM bangers, right? But it is fun, just generic fucking pop rock, man. I think they bring tons of energy with the majority of their songs, but Wishing Fountains really stood out to me because they kind of break that mold. And I don't know if you listened very closely to that song, but there's a lot of strings in that song, and you know I'm a sucker for strings where they don't belong. I gave it a 6. Wishing Fountains or Life Was Easier When I Only Cared About Me are my standouts. There's nothing revolutionary here, but I really enjoyed it.
Of course I listened to that song. I listened to the whole album. You know I'm not a big indie pop rock fan, and I wasn't crazy about the last single we heard from them, so I'm sure you added this one knowing that I most likely would not like it.
Correct.
And if that's the case, then you are correct. And it's not bad music or anything. It's literally what you just said. It's so generic and inoffensive that it offends me. It's an album that takes no chances. My only real standout was When the World Was Mine. Heaven is a Place will probably be a big song on playlists that like Walgreens and Rite Aid uses, but it's not something I would bump in my free time necessarily. I gave this one a 5 out of 10. And yeah, When the World Was Mine was my easy standout. Like the only song I went, oh, let me play that one again really quick.
Super fair, man. Super fair. I knew going in you weren't going to enjoy it as much as maybe say I did. But again, I really enjoyed it and I rated it a 6. So I think you were being very generous with your 5. So thank you.
Yeah, no, it's still, like I said, it's well done. It's just so generic. It's
well done and it's good, but it's bad. I get it.
There you go. Exactly.
I super get it, man.
That's it.
All right. This last album that we have on the playlist this month is an album called There Is No Neil Francis by the band Neil Francis, which I'm afraid there is not. They don't exist, according to this album title. This is a surprise drop. This was a shock drop for me. I didn't hear any singles. They released an EP last year that we covered, and I was super stoked to get an album from them. The album cover is dope. None of these are anything different than I expected. We're just hearing more of the same Neil Francis. I'm not really complaining, though. It's great house adjacent band music. I don't know if that makes sense. It's absolutely fine. I really did love the Karen interlude, and I'm very curious about where they got that recording from. But just like some other albums, this isn't anything revolutionary, but I did really enjoy this one. I gave this one a 7. My standout is It's Like a Dream, or that Karen interlude, which I think is called Thump Thumping.
Yes, it was. So you shared a lot of Neil Francis with me since we started doing this like over a year ago, and I usually like it, but I think overall this might be my least favorite project of theirs I've heard so far. My easy standout from this album was "It's Like a Dream," and I thought a lot of these songs were good, but they just didn't. I don't know. It just maybe like you said, they've been doing the same thing for a while, so it's just not hitting right. But I've listened to all of their releases since Tuesday, their EP Tuesday, and I don't know. This one just hit me the least out of all of them, but I still enjoyed it. I gave it a 6 out of 10, and "It's Like a Dream" was my favorite.
Nice, man. Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
it's the whole shock drop thing, like no build. I didn't really like prepare for it. I don't know, but I've only
nobody
listened to
was
it
ready,
twice so
bro.
far. We're never ready.
Well, yeah, man, this was a very interesting January. If anybody listening has not heard, we did a part one for January where we discussed the first half of the month, and the second half of the month is arguably less exciting as far as the album drops go, but I think we actually had more fun singles in the second half of the month than we did the first half. So,
I agree.
I did really enjoy a lot of the releases we had this month, and I'm excited to kind of move into 2022 now that January is just kind of done and over with. I think we've got some good music really coming this year, and I wanted to ask you, John, on the spot, what are you most excited for this year after the drops in January?
God. With a release date or without a release date?
Sure.
Okay. Pusha T, Freddie Gibbs, Saba's album coming out this week. I'm pretty stoked for. Kendrick Lamar, obviously, if that comes to fruition, that's going to be gigantic. This new Ravina album, Conway the Machine's coming up, Alan Raymond. Man, I don't. There's a lot I'm excited for, honestly. That Broods album coming later this month should be pretty good. But I honestly think if Kendrick, Freddie, Pusha, Jid, any of them drop, I'm going to be just a kid in a candy store. What about you?
Oh man, I have not stopped listening to. So there are very few artists where I'll go on and just hit shuffle and be super content with it. Most artists I will want to curate an album experience. Kind of like today, I went on to listen to some of the Chemical Brothers music, and I clicked "Hey Boy, Hey Girl" and was like, nope, can't do that. Got to listen to Music Response. Got to listen to Surrender as a whole. Got to do that whole thing. There are two artists rather, that I am very excited for because I can just hit their shuffle and really not skip any songs. There's maybe a couple. But Mom Jean's album and the Freddie Gibbs album. Those are the two that I am just cannot
Man.
wait, man. And I know that those are two completely different genres, but I think those are those are what I'm most excited for to start 2022 off with. And I think we're gonna get some great music in between. And like you said, Kendrick, if he drops, and Jid, if he drops, God, Jid's DiCaprio too was just incredible. So I'm just excited for a follow up to that one. And yeah, man, I'm just excited for the year, and I think we're gonna have a lot of fun talking about it.
Me too, man. Can't wait.
Cool. Well, you have a beautiful night, and lovely listeners, if you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, and make sure you subscribe or dislike. YouTube doesn't show dislikes anymore, so you can press dislike as many times as you want. And make sure to stay up to date on our channel, as we might have some socials, and we may even be on Spotify soon.
Maybe.
We'll hope you listen to us later, and have a great night.
Peace.
Peace.